All right, so today let's move into Voyager Token VGX. And if you're on the Voyager platform, you probably understand this one. It's one of those tokens that are based on the platform itself. Mainly, the token is used to incite loyalty. And that's what we're going to dive in today. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to TechPath. Voyager, I use it. It's one of the platforms that I do trade on. One of the biggest reasons that I do use Voyager, pretty straightforward, is that it does pay a certain amount of interest on both Bitcoin, which is a pretty decent rate. Additionally, you can get it on USDC. If you're a bit risk averse, you can kind of go in that direction. And then you can also get across a variety of tokens, a whole layer of different types of interest. Now, the question that a lot of people are asking right now is, why is Voyager's token taking off? Why is it skyrocketing? So we jump to this story right here, Markets Insider. Why is Voyager token jumping like crazy? There are a few things here that are happening. What's moving? Basically, it shot up 51.4%, as you can kind of see here. It's kind of tracking along with where Bitcoin is going in terms of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I do feel like there is a little bit of tailwinds that Voyager enjoys because of that, mainly just because in general, more people are active on their platform, hence getting active in the token itself. There are a lot of rewards if you are a token holder of 500 or more tokens. They have different levels in which you can kind of jump to. I would, invite you to go visit their website, just voyagerinvest.com, to take a look at where it's going. But basically what they've said is recently the big jump, at least here recently, was this acquisition of Coinify. Now, Coinify is a company that basically is like a Bitcoin payment application for websites and other tool sets that eventually will be down there. The story here on Markets Insider basically just kind of outlines the program. Coinify is available in 150 countries. Though I would remember that the situation with Voyager is it's not completely global yet, and it's also not available in all states. So this is one of those acquisitions that I think starts to really play into Voyager's hands in terms of Coinify, mainly because of the whole idea around being able to collect digital assets through some sort of online e-commerce. This is going to be a big thing, I think, in the future. They are going to leave about $15 million in cash on the books with Coinify, which I think is a good thing that shows a lot of presence in Voyager's behalf in terms of what they think Coinify can do. The purchase of Coinify will give Voyager access to the cryptocurrency payment industry through the former's platform available in Europe, North Asia, you can kind of see South America, et cetera. So it does open up a lot of opportunity here for where Voyager is going. Voyager has also had a tremendous amount of growth here recently, which is another reason I think they continue to see really great performance. And remember, Voyager is three things. It's a platform for trading currency, buying currency, and yielding. It's also a issuer of basically a loyalty token for you to get it active in the VGX, and that's what we're talking about here today. And then lastly, it's also a stock that you can buy on the Canadian Stock Exchange. So here's a quick one right here. Voyager's Digital announces record quarterly revenue over 65%. So their Q4 expected between 103 and 107. The funded accounts grow 146%, and then verified users grew 75%. There's a lot of analysis that I'm going to show you here in a second that really kind of gets into this. The verified users on the platform, more than 1.75 million, up 75% in the previous quarter in. So this is a big deal for them to continue. Now, there is one air of caution that I recommend here, and it's something I've been talking about here on the show for a while, and that is that there are some other platforms that kind of react like Voyager. Now, we've done comparisons with Voyager and Celsius primarily because of their yields. Celsius and Voyager have very similar yield opportunities for USDC, your cryptocurrencies, et cetera, depending on where you want to park money. Now, Celsius is not a trading platform, but Voyager, you can go out and shop a lot of tokens. And in many cases, Voyager does have access to quite a bit. Remember, Voyager's business model is quite unique, though. They're not the actual exchange. What they're doing is going out and finding the best price on the exchanges across various exchanges. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds with Voyager in terms of how all that works. The challenge for Voyager, and I think it's a big one, is that the big green machine just went IPO this past week, and that is Robinhood. Now, Robinhood, though, does not offer a lot of these tool sets just yet. The difference in terms of Robinhood and Voyager is that eventually, Robinhood has already showed their hand in terms of being very active in cryptocurrency. They're coming with a lot more tokens. Now, would they ever get to the number that Voyager has? Maybe not initially or even immediately, but I do think we'll probably see maybe a dozen tokens or up to 20 on Robinhood at some point. Right now, it's Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and I think Doge, that you can get. So you've got not really a lot of competition at this point, but you do obviously with Robinhood have this amazing UX. That's the knock on Voyager, is their UX on their app, which is mobile only currently. They do promise a lot of advancements on desktop and also mobile UX advancement as well. So all that could really play into this, but there's a lot of other things that are flowing into this. But I would be very cautious to watch what's happening with Robinhood, because Robinhood could be a big factor here. Another thing is their features, perks, and kind of some of the cons and alternatives that are out there in the space. Voyager is obviously, as I said, a dozen exchanges is what they kind of market to and go out and get the best deal for you. And then here's the 10% APY that you can get on a variety of not 10% on all 50 currencies, just to be clear. They do a lot of variations on these currencies based on that. Let me kind of zoom up there for you guys. Don't forget, if you guys have comments on Voyager, maybe you're a user, I'd love to hear your comments on how it's been for you. I've been using it for many months now and have been somewhat pleased, other than the outages, because that is a real issue with Voyager that has to be addressed. And I think it will eventually affect their token price, which is what we're talking about here today. But it is available in all states in the U.S. besides New York, so you can't get it there in NYC. It's not available yet internationally, which I think is coming. It is 100% commission-free. So what I've been able to tell so far is it's real in terms of the commission structure. So they do have that going for kind of going against Robinhood or being able to hold up against Robinhood, but they are not near the size of where Robinhood is. There's a very straight, easy sign-up process. You can also do businesses if you're doing an LLC and you're trying to do some crypto trading or some yield marketing there for your business. That may be another alternative for your treasury to go in and say, hey, let's park some USDC, maybe some Bitcoin, and get some nice yields on those. So all those kind of play into the price for Voyager and why this token is still continuing to see some really good performance. Now, we have friends of the channel, Rob over at Digital Asset News. He's a big proponent of Voyager. I'm a little bit more of a conservative around Voyager in the sense that I do look at this as a potential for a breakout. I don't necessarily see the kind of breakout that Rob is talking about, but I do look at Voyager as a lot of opportunity. The big elephant in the room will be if Robinhood moves quickly into the crypto space, and I think maybe because of their performance in crypto in terms of profitability, they could. And if they do, they're going to steal some thunder and they're going to steal some customers from Voyager. It's going to move to Robinhood. When that happens, and it's not an if, it's a when, then I think you need to be very cognizant of where you are in the whole life cycle of where your trading is occurring. Like me, I trade on multiple currency exchanges right now, and still to this date, I still like Coinbase Pro. It's still one of my winners. I'm starting to trade a little bit on Robinhood for ETH and Bitcoin, but it's a different kind of experience, and you have no wallet. There's a lot of breakdowns in where this is going. So the landscape around Voyager is a little muddy, but the token is kind of flowing right along. I want to jump to this bullish case for Voyager. And I thought this was a great article done by Shingo Levine here, and that he really kind of dives into what are the catalysts and where are the bearish and the bullish potential indicators here. It's got his assessment is pretty right on here. It has a large underpriced potential growth, which simply means that it's undervalued right now when you look at the revenue opportunity of where Voyager is going. And remember, revenue in Voyager means users. Users means access to that token, VGX, And access to that token means rewards and loyalty. So all of this flows in line. If Voyager gets to where they're building their user base on an increasing level, that token is going to get engaged. And because of the loyalty application and because of the reward system they've placed in the role of the VGX token, it's just going to fly. And of course, they have their loyalty program that they promised would be out very soon. They've got, the whole idea around credit cards coming out soon. A lot of this is still coming. We are going to have Steve Ehrlich, we've had him on, he's their CEO. We've had him on this show before. I invite you, if you are looking into Voyager, go back and watch that video. Put in some comments, because we see those comments flow through on that video and on this one, and we will bring those comments and questions to our next interview with Steve to really understand where the future of Voyager is going and kind of how they're addressing some of these issues. I want to jump down to this thesis that Vingo did. It's a new breed of fintech company. You kind of have to look at this in a completely different scenario than you look at someone like a Robinhood or even to a certain extent, someone like a Coinbase. They do have a really unique product market fit for what they're doing. The fundamentals are pretty straightforward. Voyager has a strong balance sheet, $72 million in cash. They got $2.68 billion in assets and $2.5 in liabilities. So, they're right on the point in terms of profitability. 270,000 funded accounts in March of 21. Nice. This was March business update that said this, but what they're saying is that the account numbers at 400,000, going to 400,000, representing a 48.15% growth from April. So huge if this continues to move in this direction for Voyager. And I think there's some charts here that I wanted to kind of show you, but before we get to the charts, this growth right here, one thing that they were extrapolating off of was the current growth. Now this is where it gets a little murky, because they're extrapolating off that current growth, which many people don't think they can maintain just because the market is getting a lot more competitive. But if they extrapolate that based on what Voyager's management's talking about, this would be 540,000 accounts by March, 729,000 funded accounts in June, and 4.4 million by end of year. This would be a massive, massive move. So this kind of shows that 35% monthly gain scenario. You can kind of see it going up to 4.4 million. And we'll probably get the new numbers from Steve as to where they are here in August. But many people are looking at this. It's probably not going to happen. The likelihood of people starting to move around in a lot of different places, this is more likely the scenario, which is this 6% growth monthly scenario, which I feel really much more comfortable with. Getting to 1 million, I think, would be a big deal for Voyager. If they get to 1 million users on the platform, they're really in a good position, because they are going to be in a position for more acquisitions, which I think is what the next strategy needs to be for Voyager, because they need to acquire both users, feature sets, and also market share in some of these other markets that are going to really open up from an international standpoint. That's going to be a big one, I think, that really starts to play into it. I wanted to also take a look at some charts that we pulled, and this was Voyager's retail investor sentiment. And just kind of pulling up this, we pulled this out. You can kind of see here on January 30th this year, price was around 270, sentiment held on around 53.06, and amplification at 51.49, which is a good amplification score, and it's a decent score for sentiment. So, but you can kind of see the movement right here that happened in this zone all the way into February, where we saw really the annual, all-time high, which was at $53 basically, $6.90 a token, but it held on a sentiment of 53.06 and an amplification of 38.06. So here's where it gets really erratic. And this is what concerns me with Voyager's token, is that you get people who start to gamify the use of the token. So they're in, they're out. Now that's why I think the loyalty program's coming into play. Loyalty is going to be a big factor here. But if you go back to the chart, you see the difference between a very short period of time, between February and January. In a very short period of time, we see this massive run up, sentiment holding somewhat, and amplification just falling off the cliff. And again, that's where we start to see this fly down. So this is the thing that I think is most interesting about Voyager, is that right now, this is, I think, the more real scenario where Voyager is most likely at. The question to me is this current run-up that they're on right now, as we speak and record this video on August 5th, they're at $3.51 at the last score, and the amplification is up dramatically, 56.03, even higher than what we saw back over here in January. So does that mean that we'll see a run-up to, this type of increase? Because remember, they came down from pretty much under $1, and we're moving very aggressively into a 6. So 6x is pretty healthy, but there are many industry experts that are really kind of pointing to Voyager just because of the strategy that they've put in place that moves this token to a very interesting place. And I want to jump to that one, and that is year-end price prediction. So if they stay on this track right now, and this purple is out there towards year-end, this is right where we are right now. Sentiment and amplification very strong on Voyager. Even if we get a little bit of a market correction, which most likely will happen on Voyager, if this takes it up to, say, somewhere around the $4 range, we could see some market correction. I think we'll see a new accumulation opportunity right here, which could get us up by year end. I know there's many people out there saying $30 by year end, some of our own good friends here on YouTube, but I feel like we're looking at somewhere in the $20 to $21 range. So that's kind of where it lies up for VGX. A little bit more conservative. And again, it's basically because they've got a lot of irons in the fire. Steve really and the team at Voyager needs to roll out some aspects of getting these projects in queue and done. I think loyalty will be a big one to really kind of help sustain that. But user growth is going to be the other one on how they can really do that. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is marketing. They're going to have to go out and really push the case, because Robinhood is winning right now in terms of these investors, especially in the under 30, under 35 crowd. Robinhood is winning in a big way. We're going to do an analysis video of cross demographics on some of these platforms, because there's a lot of growth in the under 35 market in terms of the investors. And that, I think, is the future of where many of these projects are going. Robinhood right now, I feel like, is sitting in the birds or the cat seat right now. And I think they've got a really good chance of kind of doing some damage in the cryptocurrency space if they start to roll out some pretty aggressive programs. So you just got to be a caution for all of those kinds of things. And if you're in this space, you're aware of these kind of moves that are happening. If you're new to the space, what I would say is you've got to start going through our video library, because this will help you in understanding the entire scope of where digital assets are going. There's a lot there in terms of interviews, CEO interviews. We do a ton of those, and we do a lot of deep dives on these kind of things here. These are market movers, and we put these together from time to time. It's pretty straightforward. We get a lot of data. We'll do some technical analysis. We pull in some research and obviously some news from some of the trusted sources. But it's not investment advice. You still need to go out and kind of do your own. Hopefully this points you in the right direction. That's the main thing. If it gets you in the right direction and you want to do something, maybe you're going to sign up for Voyager, or you're going to go to another platform. Maybe you're going to just jump on Robinhood and get in there while you can, because there's a lot of opportunity. I'm a brand new user of Robinhood because I've been an institutional user forever when I'm purchasing stocks. But recently, I tell you, the experience, it's a different world. And now I understand where these investors that are in that platform are going. So back to Voyager, applications got to come, UX-wise, got to go. 100%, they got to keep uptime going. They got to roll these projects out. I think loyalty's got to get in place. And they need to accelerate on user acquisition. They are in a race now. It's going to be interesting to watch. You're over on the podcast. Make sure and tune in on all different ways. You can check out these charts by just coming over here to YouTube, search Paul Barron Network, and you'll find us. And of course, you can subscribe right here, like the video, and share it with someone that you think is wanting to learn about technology and cryptocurrency and blockchain and all that cool stuff. This is the channel for you. You can always reach out to me on Twitter, just @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.